Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached Friday. Congratulations. It's pretty much the weekend for a lot of you. Hopefully, you're not working. And welcome back to Tailosive Tech Live on YouTube. And because it is Friday, that means we have 1 week left until Apple starts charging us $3,500 for this freaking Vision Pro thing. And since my last live stream and the last video announcing that, the pre-orders were going to start on the 19th, there's been some more developments. So first off, we have Ming Chi Kuo telling us the unit volume for Vision Pro should be pretty absurdly low. Somewhere in the ballpark of 60,000 to 80,000 units, and that is not a lot, especially considering previous releases. But I think we have to account for a little bit of differences in regards to, like, it's a $3,500 product. Also, it's just in the US. So normally during an iPhone pre-order process, we're competing with many different countries all at the same time. And this one, if you're not in the US, you're not going to see it. But the other reason this might actually end up being more complicated is because if you were on the newsletter, the Vision Pro webpage on Apple's website, you could hit sign up for, notify me when this is available. They started sending out emails to people explaining to them how the Vision Pro pre-order process is going to work. And apparently, you're going to need to scan your face if you plan on ordering through the Apple Store app, and they're going to use that Face ID scan off your phone in order to gauge what size of headset or which accessories to provide to you. And I guess they can figure out how big your head is through some code in the Apple Store app. So this is far more complex and far more intricate of a pre-order process than any previous generation Apple product. And of course, the volumes are going to be much lower than any previous generation Apple product. So there's a very good chance that I don't know if Apple products ever really sell out. I don't really recall a time where Apple launched pre-orders for something and then a couple hours later just shut them off and said, there's no more, you can't order anymore. I never see them do that. I do see them push the estimated delivery back further. So I think it is very possible that if a bunch of people are going to be pre-ordering this thing very quickly, then we might see the estimated delivery timeline slip into March, April, May, depending on how many they can build, how quickly they're building them. Good morning. Good to see you. I was going to get 15 Pro Max, but it can't focus properly when trying to photograph my passport on banking app. Ended up buying 15 Plus. Ugh, not the Plus. There's ways to turn off that stupid, the lens they put on the 15 Pros, and that applies to the Pro Max as well. It doesn't focus on things that get very close to it, so you have to hold them back a little bit more. Otherwise, it switches over to the macro mode. But yeah, sorry you got a 15 Plus. I hope it works for you. Scanning face and needing a lot of setup will maybe hold back scalping a bit. That's true. Maybe by having I didn't even think about that. POVs with roving Cyclops. What a name. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, if the process of ordering Vision Pro requires you to go through the Apple Store app and it doesn't work through the website, and it also requires you to have a device with Face ID and get some kind of unique scan on your face, and maybe it's more than just your face, it could be like your head, or there might be some more intricate process, which is why this pre-order process is going to be a lot more interesting than a typical iPhone or iPad pre-order. Connor Dunaway, thank you for 16 months of support. I'm just waiting for RCS. Ain't we all, brother? Come on, like, Apple, it's 2024. Texting should not be this complicated. But yeah, you're right. Requiring that custom and analysis of your face before you can actually place the order, I could envision that slowing down scalpers, because scalpers tend to use automated ordering machines where they just detect any rare item that's available and hit buy now and ship it wherever. So if there's a requirement for your face to be scanned, it's probably going to be a bit harder to get a bot to spoof that. It might be possible, but at least more intricate. And of course, Apple hasn't launched the configurator. They've been pretty quiet about this. So I don't think we're going to have another. I mean, there will probably still be scalping that goes on depending on how high demand is and how quickly it sells out, how many there are. But at least using bots to buy up rare devices like the PlayStation 5. We all remember how quickly bots were able to pick up PS5s as quickly as possible and then sell them at a massive profit. And it made it very hard to get one for, it felt like years. It was a long time, and this is probably a good way to help avoid that. Imagine your face scan keeps failing when trying to pre-order and it all sells out. That would drive me insane. Honestly, I still feel like there's a very real chance of that happening because pretty much any time pre-orders go live for any recent Apple product, or usually it's iPhones. iPhones are the most crazy pre-order process. It's pretty much always a rush, and there's a bunch of payment failure that goes through, and a bunch of people are ordering and it crashes the server, and then the orders don't go through. And because this is the first ever Apple product that's actually required a facial scan in order to purchase, there's good chance that this data has not been tested at scale. I'm sure they have some internal beta version of the Apple Store app that's designed to come up with a prompt. But yeah, the interesting part is very much that if you don't have a device with Face ID, I believe you just can't order one. I mean, you will probably be able to book a demo for Vision Pro where you can go to the Apple Store and try it out. But yeah, if you don't have an iPhone with Face ID, I mean, there's probably a fairly low number of people that are interested in Vision Pro and still using a Touch ID phone, or that are buying it from an Android phone. Um, I know I wanted to do the EV stream today. There's lots of EV stuff in development. There's a lot of EV stuff working, but I couldn't get around to the EV stream today. The list for topics on the EV channel just grows and grows and grows every day. People are like, talk more about this, talk more about this. Tailosive Tech channel video ideas keep shrinking. We're basically just killing time until Vision Pro launches. So that's why I'm making some of the weirder videos that are more opinionated and less news based, like, here's what I think Apple should do with the Apple Watch. But sorry, we're gonna do an EV stream eventually. I promise. It's just not today. The things that change sizes are the light seal and bands, which are all removable. All the headset are the same size. Scalpers will just tell people to buy their own light seal. Yeah, I mean, scalpers. That in that situation, it's pretty much like you'll take what we give you, right? What happens if you try to order Vision Pro with a device without Face ID, like an iPhone SE? I don't know exactly because no one has tried this yet, but the emails have been sent out. Let me pull one up here so you guys can believe me. Where did I put this? I know I tweeted it. Um, I'm gonna download it so we can look at it together. Ta-da! Here it is. Have an iPhone or iPad with Face ID nearby. So this can work with an iPad, which is good in case you want to see my face. Boom! I'm back. When you order Apple Vision Pro, you'll need to scan your face with an iPhone or iPad with Face ID. This helps us determine the right size for light seal and headbands. Make sure your Apple Store is up to date. For the face scan, you'll need the latest version of the Apple Store app, which became available on January 11th. So when I first read that, I was like, oh my God, wait, so the face scan feature already works? I feel like that would save a lot of time if, and probably a lot of complication if Apple actually just let us do our face scan now, and then they figure out what your size is. That way, when you place the order on Friday, there's not this giant rush for everybody to scan their face. But yeah, I went into the Apple Store app. There's no way to do it. But the code that allows you to scan your face is there. That's basically what we've discovered. So make sure your Apple Store is up to date, basically. I can turn this off, I guess. Bonk. And then back to this. Yeah, that works. Am I worried about the tech channel if it keeps dropping, as you say? No, it hasn't really dropped in terms of viewership, at least for me. I mean, there's definitely months where there's more views than other months, but the EV channel makes most of my income at this point anyway, so the tech channel I'm mostly, I do for fun. I mean, I do all YouTube for fun, but I'm not too worried because every day it feels like there's more and more things to talk about on EV. Apple Vision Pro is by far the most exciting thing going on in the tech space, and I can tell you now and promise you now, it's probably not going to last very long. I'm getting a lot of a Christmas Eve vibes leading up to this launch, and The hard fact is probably the nightmare going on in a lot of YouTubers' minds, or at least it should be. If you're planning on making YouTube videos about Apple Vision Pro, if you're not bothered by this idea that I'm about to say, it should bother you. This is not going to be an easy product to make videos about. I mean, you can talk about the experience and you can show yourself having the experience of spatial computing, but as far as we're aware, I don't think there's a way to screen record in Vision OS. I don't even think there's necessarily a way to AirPlay what you're seeing onto another screen so that you can recapture that and share that. But even so, even if there is, it's not going to be an easy thing to demo. This is a very difficult thing to market, which is why I think Apple's very grateful at the moment that they have so many Apple stores, because they know that the the experience of spatial computing, from everything I've heard, probably is very cool. It's probably really immersive and it's really fun, but it doesn't translate well over a 2D screen, which is what everybody's watching YouTube videos through. Um, even spatial videos aren't going to be that immersive because not everybody can afford to spend $3,500 on the headset, and a lot of people live outside the US. So this is something that people are going to try on and talk about using, but it's not going to be as easy to show, here's how it feels to use compared to an iPhone, which we can just point a camera at ourselves holding the phone. Here's what it's like to use the phone. Here's how good the camera is. Here's how fast the display is. All of that stuff you're not going to be able to easily showcase on camera. So I think there's going to be a lot of hype and a lot of interest in Vision Pro leading up to the launch. But then once the launch happens, it's going to be a hard job for YouTubers, is all I'm trying to say. Probably there is a screen record feature in Vision Pro. I'm just telling you, there's no evidence of it. We have Vision OS emulators through Xcode, and I don't see any evidence that there's going to be a way to record what you can see, which means that you're going to be watching a lot of YouTubers doing, where's my prop? Here we go. Wow, guys, this is so cool. It's so immersive. And that's just not going to be a great marketing technique, which is why Apple's hoping for you to book a lot of demos in person. Um, let's see. Are you worried? So the short answer, Dovanus, is no. The tech channel, I think, will always have a passionate audience. We've actually grown in subscribers a bit more than previous years. The tech channel will always have, I think, a decent number of viewers that are interested in talking about tech or just appreciate the skits. I lost a lot of people on the skits. I was kind of intentionally doing that. But yeah, probably everyone will basically say the same thing. Probably cool and immersive. Right. How many different ways can you articulate it? I'll try my best, but being a tech tuber but being a minimalist, how does that compute in your head? Who said minimalist? I never said I was a minimalist. I'm an essentialist. There's a stark difference. I don't know what it is, but Randy called me an essentialist, so I'm going to forever remind myself that I'm an essentialist because he is a minimalist, so I feel like he knows more about it. Am I planning to buy it and keep it, or just buy it and then return it? Probably going to return it, but I don't know. I have abandoned the idea of coming to conclusions on products before I've tried them. I haven't even seen Vision Pro. I mean, imagine if you asked someone, do you want an iPhone, and they'd never even held one. They've never even used one. It's never been in their pocket. Like, I don't know yet. Is it comfortable to wear for hours on end? I don't know. Do I get tired of wearing it after a while? Then probably not. I don't want to keep it. But if it's really great and really useful and I could see myself using it all the time, and maybe I could justify the expense, but it is a lot. $3,500 ain't cheap. So the standards are going to be pretty high because the price is pretty high. So it has to be pretty amazing. It has to kind of blow my mind. It kind of has to change the way I think of technology fundamentally in order for me to justify it. Are Randy and Mike planning to buy a Vision Pro? I haven't gotten confirmation from Mike. I haven't told him to keep it a secret or anything. I don't know if he plans on buying it. He can publicly say that whenever he wants. I'm pretty sure Randy has said publicly that he does plan on buying one. Um, let's see. A lot of your questions would be answered just by going into the Vision OS simulator and Xcode and checking out the settings app. Vision OS allows what's being displayed on the headset to be recorded and airplayed to a Mac. I feel like those are two different things, aren't they? Recorded and airplayed? I guess you could airplay it to a Mac. Even so, you may be right. My point is, it's not going to translate. Watching someone with a POV and how their hands are, because you probably can't see the person tapping their finger. You're not going to understand the difference in eye tracking. It's basically just going to look like a floating tvOS, and that will probably, because it's AirPlay, the quality of it is probably not going to look amazing. So it's just not going to translate well in the YouTube space unless you're a big channel with a lot of money and you can, I don't know, come up with some kind of CG to make it simulated, kind of like what Apple did at the event where they put all the renders in, the set, and they animated it on top of, a different camera feed. Um, Screen recording means a fair bit. Actually, you get to see a lot. You can see, but it's not the same as experiencing it. Is my point. Um, More curious of the unboxing process than the device itself. Yeah, well, that'll be revealed when the special YouTubers all get their Vision Pro early. I'm sure they're going to document the whole unboxing process before I get to. Um, what do I think of Tim Apple only making 63 million this year after a cut? Will he be okay? I don't think so. I think Tim needs to start a Patreon. He's he's trying to get by with only 63 million. That poor man. Um, Dad asks, will Vision Pro work with full self-driving? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure there's a setting designed in Vision Pro to basically hold up. It says you're moving too fast. There's a travel mode, but I don't know how that navigates if you're in a plane. Because obviously, if you're in a plane, you're moving around, and the Vision Pro can detect that motion, so it'll probably go, "Hey, you're moving too much. You're leaving the designated area," and then um, you have to click something or hold down something that overrides it and says, "I'm the passenger. I can do what I want." But then can't you hit that if you're in the car anyway? Yeah, someone will definitely try to drive with it on. I've already seen, I think it was Chris from Dirty Tesla. He drove his Tesla around a little bit with the Meta Quest headset on, which does have pass through. Although I think the Quest shuts off pretty quick, and he was doing it on private roads. He was not doing it on a public road, so give him a break. Um, it's definitely not good enough to justify the expense. I just want to play with it for a week. Yeah, I wonder how many people are going to do that. Why did Tim take a pay cut? I don't know. He's a very noble man, willing to only live on 63 million a month. If Vision Pro is going to be custom fit for the specific user, how will the resale market work for it? I guess you'll just have to say what the size is. I don't think the sizes are infinite. I mean, yes, they don't want to include every light seal and headband with every single Vision Pro, but I'm guessing there's probably a certain number of sizes. Maybe there's like 3 or 4 different sizes. I don't think there would be like 10. We keep talking about like, oh, it needs a custom fit and Apple needs a way to measure if it's going to fit your head right. And it's like, they don't do that with the Meta Quest. All the Meta Quests are the same size, and not that many people complain about, oh, the fit's not perfect for me. It's like, it's probably a very minute detail. So when you sell one, you'll just say this includes the size medium or extra large or whatever size your head is. Whatever size your head is. Even if Vision Pro talk evaporates a bit during the spring, if Vision OS 2.0 is impressive, it could recapture some attention. Yeah, but again, I do think that it's it's fun to talk about and exciting because it's like about to happen. It's about to launch for the first time. So there's a lot of hype right now. Once it's out, once people have kind of developed their opinion on it, once a lot of people have tried it, and we get some more reviews that are not embargoed, that are not under special Apple analysis, because Apple seems to be watching everybody who tries out Vision Pro very closely, and they're being very careful with who they pick to showcase the device, who's going to get the early review units. And I'm kind of like, why? Why are you being so picky? If it's so amazing, just let everybody try it, right? Like they intentionally at Dub Dub last year did not let anybody film themselves using it. Why do you think they did that? Well, eyesight's not working. Okay, just say that. I mean, they let CBS Good Morning do it. Will Vision Pro fit on the heads of people with big brains? Big brain, small wallet. Maybe when you put on airplane mode, the motion detection of Vision Pro shuts off. Maybe, but even so, then it sounds like it'll be very easy to spoof into thinking you're on a plane and then you can drive around with it on, which is not legal, not recommended, but someone's going to do it. You know it's going to happen. I will not be doing it, or at least not very quickly. Maybe I'll do it in a small, no, not a small. I'll do it in a quiet, empty, large parking lot just to see what it's like, just to see if it feels natural at all. Because everyone keeps saying the pass through is very, very good. Um, they did Minecraft demos, but not Vision Fail. Oh, yikes. Sorry for the bit rate, everybody. T-Mobile took a dive there. Hopefully it recovers in a second. There it goes. Okay, we should be good. Um, I'm looking forward to the whole showdowns of the headsets coming this year. MetaQuest Pro versus Apple Vision Pro versus Google, Samsung headset, etc. I feel like it'll be fun to compare yourself, but I don't think the videos on them are going to be very interesting, personally. Like, uh, you can't really experience it through a 2D screen. It's kind of like reviewing headphones, is the way I see it. You can talk about them and talk about the pricing and the features and the strengths and weaknesses, but ultimately, you're not going to know how those headphones sound until you put them on. You're just basing one guy's experience talking about it. You're not going to be able to experience what the actual wearer, the actual user is going to be. Um, I don't. I think even if you have a tvOS like replica of what it looks like on an AirPlay display, hearing about your experience with the product is a lot more interesting than just seeing it being used. Um, Hearing about the product being used. I mean, I basically think it'll be easier to here. How do I describe this? Phones are very marketable. I think that's the overall trend I'm getting at. They have all day battery lives. They're getting very affordable. There's really great phones you can get for dirt cheap now. And it's very easy to showcase how they work. People can visualize a camera app. They can open that up, visualize, okay, the zoom is really good or the ultra wide is really good. We can do B-roll shots of me holding up a screen, showing it how it fits in my hand and showing how responsive the display is and opening apps and that kind of thing. It's fairly easy to market phones. You're not going to be able to have a very similar experience because instead of a finger interacting with a touchscreen with the Vision Pro, your eye is the cursor. And if someone is wearing the headset, you can't see where their eyes are moving. So it may look like just tiles popping up, which is about the same as looking at a tvOS screen recorder. And the tapping of the hands is also something you need to track. We do the same thing with the Apple Watch. We see the same thing with the Apple Pencil on the iPad. Oh, here's how it draws. Here's the hover feature. Here's how the, tapping feature works with the Apple Watch. And that whole experience is going to be, I think, really immersive and really cool in person, but in YouTube form, it's going to be pretty hard, I think, to articulate anything interesting. Quest Pro versus Vision Pro isn't a great comparison since Quest throws. Yeah, I don't want to speak for them, Burkhart, but I believe he was referring to the next generation Quest Pro. I don't think he was referring to the previous generation Quest Pro. Dad says, like most VR videos, it involves one person acting like a fool, like everyone around them is laughing and mocking. Yeah, that's what a lot of the footage is going to look like. Or it's going to be cheap, low resolution, low frame rate screen recordings, which isn't that interesting. Imagine if the only way you could review your iPhone is showing the screen recording of the screen. You know, you just go back and forth on your home screen. Wow, guys, the refresh rate is so good. 30 FPS on YouTube. I don't think the AirPlay to another screen so you can see the perspective of the Vision Pro is going to be very high frame rate or high resolution. It can't be, obviously, because it's 4K per eye and then maybe 90 to 100 hertz refresh rate. So if they want to cast that onto something else, it's got to be pretty heavily compressed. Best case scenario, we get 1080p at 60 frames a second, but even then, it's going to be shaky and GoPro looking. And what if they do B-roll of your fingers and treat it like you would do B-roll for the Quest controllers? What? B-roll for the what do they just have a close-up shot of your fingers tapping together? I think it's going to be interesting tech. I just don't think it's going to be very easy to market. Phones, watches, laptops, tablets, very easy to market, in my opinion. I'm curious about you using Final Cut using one or two, three giant virtual screens. Absolutely. I've been wanting a big screen monitor pretty much ever since I got rid of my BenQ. Um, I like big external monitors, and I cannot lie. I like having all of that screen space, especially when I'm doing stuff like this, like reading the chat and OBS is open and I'm checking Twitter for updates and I got iMessage open in case, my wife or family needs me for something. I like the concept of having all those screens. I just hate the space. I hate the energy they consume. And of course, we travel a lot. Like last year we were gone for over, I think we did the math. It was like 27% of the year I was not at home. So I want a big screen monitor that I can kind of easily carry around with me, but I'm curious because I have very limited experience with VR. I mean, I tried the Quest virtual desktop. And it was pretty good, but I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on exactly what about it does it what about it makes it not feel like a giant screen? Because I know that physically they're able to market it that way. Like you put on this headset, and it feels like you're looking at an 80-inch TV. It's like, yeah, but the screens are here, and they're stitching together something that looks kind of 80 inches in that virtual environment. But something about, I don't know, maybe it's because your peripheral vision is concealed and you're wearing something that's kind of heavy and there's a strap, so you feel like you got swimming goggles on. And maybe it had something to do with the resolution. I'm not sure, but something about it did not feel like it was the same thing as looking at a giant screen monitor. And I think maybe part of it with the Quest at least was that the virtual monitor was in the virtual space somewhat far away. And maybe my eyesight's not that great at things that are further away. And maybe I can readjust those in Vision Pro and that'll make it more immersive. But I don't know. Pretty sure you can only use one Mac extended display on Vision Pro. Yeah, yeah, I know. That's what I meant. Sorry. I know you can't do more than one, but one giant monitor would be good enough for me. Yeah, I can't wait to try that. I would like to edit videos, and I will live stream the experience of editing the video with the Vision Pro on. That might actually be a really fun thing we could do on the February 2nd when hopefully my Vision Pro arrives. I could unbox it and then put it on and then use the external monitor to edit the video of the unboxing in real time. Um, LG suitcase display that came out a while ago. I didn't hear about it, but it already sounds way too big for me. I'm a light traveler. Part of the reason I got rid of my Apple Watch is because I didn't feel like carrying around the Apple Watch charger everywhere. And that's a suitcase is not very mobile. I don't like to check luggage if I can avoid it because usually the airline loses it and they cost way more money if you check luggage. Whereas if you're willing to travel light, you can get some really, really cheap airfare, which we did a lot of this year. Um, let's see. MetaQuest, the space between your eyes is one of three distances only. Huh? The space between your eyes is one of three distances. Okay. I'm going to have to come back to that. I recently bought one of those 34-inch QD OLED Alienware monitors and it has been incredible so far. Yeah, something about a real big screen monitor feels nicer than those virtual ones, but I don't know. I really need to see if it's different. The ability to move your head around to look around at a big screen is more freeing than having this little screen next to your eyeballs. That's a good point. Man, Dad's advocating in favor of Vision Pro instead of having this little rectangle that we're engrossed in. I could just sit back, and do this, move things around. I don't know. Everybody who's tried it says it's really cool, but everyone who's tried it has only gotten to use it for 30 minutes. I think another cool thing to do if we get our hands on one, hopefully in early February on Groundhog Day, how long can I go wearing Vision Pro? It lasts all day when plugged in, right? Let's put that to the test. What if I wore it just all day? Would my eyes get tired? Do you think you could extend the trackpad from the Mac to Vision OS apps just like Universal Control? Extend the trackpad from the Mac to Vision OS apps. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't see why not. Will it know the difference? I don't know. Something tells me Apple's not too keen on you using your other Apple device displays while you have that on. I get the impression that at least the way they demoed it at the event, like Apple Vision Pro, when you paired it with your Mac screen shuts off. It did not treat the Vision Pro as an additional display. It treated it as the only display. It's just bigger now. So I get the feeling that when you have Vision Pro on, if you're using your Mac, it's either going to want to pair to it or it's going to want to turn the display off. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of point in using Vision OS apps and the Mac at the same time. I don't know. It depends, I guess, how good the pass through is. But usually you get more, grid artifacts and you get weird noise reduction things whenever you look at a display through a camera, right? I guess it depends how good the camera is. Maybe if the camera's really good, then it won't make a difference. Um, have you ever considered that our fingers naturally close when we're not using our hands, and this can cause misclicks while using Vision Pro? I didn't consider that, but I think it just takes some getting used to. My guess is Apple's been messing around with this for years, and they probably went with the user interface that's the most natural, that's the most freeing, or the one that feels the most immersive. So they probably experimented with lots of different things, whether it be controllers or tapping or flicking or whatever, and they probably settled on what they thought was the most, what do you call it, natural. So I trust them to a certain extent. I don't think there's a giant glaring flaw like the, oh my god, we didn't think of that. Um, I'm not sure if I even quite understand what you're saying. Our fingers naturally close when we're not using our hands. I get the impression Vision OS will probably be able to tell the difference fairly well between like your hand doing this and you doing this. Like it can detect a intentional tap of the fingers compared to just like you're resting your hands like this. I think just like how the digital crown for the Apple Watch and AirPods Max was very fluid and very natural and just felt very normal. And as soon as we got a multi-touch display on the iPhone, it was just like, oh yeah, of course, this makes perfect sense. Why didn't everybody do this? I think that's probably going to shape future mixed reality headsets, like the second gen of the Meta Quest Pro. And Samsung and Google, I'm sure, will develop their own versions, and they'll probably base a lot of what they do off of what people like about Vision Pro. Oh, yeah, really good eye tracking, and then you tap your fingers together to select things. That intuitive interface will probably make its way onto all kinds of different headsets. Um, not planning anything, Drew, but no, I probably will not keep it. I've never tried it. How it's like you guys are asking, like, do you want to eat? I don't know, these blue Takis for the rest of your life? Do you like? You're asking me if I want to buy a new bag of blue hot, flaming hot Takis every week for the next 3 years. It's like I haven't even tried one. I don't even know if I like blue Takis. Let me try them first, and then I'll tell you if I want to keep it. Everybody assumes that you have to come up to the decision before you even tried the product. This is a product more so than any other Apple product that I think genuinely really needs to be tried. You can kind of use your imagination a bit with other products like the Apple Watch Ultra or the iPhone or the Mac. You can kind of visualize, okay, I get it. The display's brighter, the speakers are better, the chip is faster, yada, yada, yada. I understand how good the product is. Like, you don't need to run out in, I didn't need to go out and review the 15-inch MacBook Air in order to decide, yeah, that's a fine product, but it's not for me. Vision Pro is not something that I think you can come to a definitive conclusion on before you've actually tried it and used it. How immersive is it? Um, it needs to be tried. I think that's my running answer to everybody asking, "Are you going to keep it? Are you going to keep it?" Um, let me try it first. And I'm not going to come to a conclusion within 15 minutes either. This is an extended ownership experience. If I were to guess, my guess is no, just because it's very expensive and I think it's very unlikely that the product will justify that high cost. But ultimately, the question I keep throwing back at everybody is, why does it matter what I keep? I can come to a conclusion and a recommendation on a product without keeping it. I know how I feel about the iPad. I know how I feel about the Apple Watch. I don't own those, but I know everything about them and I can recommend them to people. And I know lots of people. My wife still wears an Apple Watch, and I don't think you have to own a product to come to a conclusion on it. I'm sure, like many of you, I could probably talk all about. My brother was in the chat earlier. Yeah, he made this 3D printed Cybertruck for me. Cybertruck, I could tell you all about the steer-by-wire, the turning radius, the 123 kilowatt hours, the charging curve, the HVAC system, the bed. I can tell you about all these things, and you can probably understand. Yeah, I don't need that product. I don't own a Cybertruck, but I can describe exactly why someone might want it, and also why a lot of people may not want it. You don't need to own it to. I bet lots of you guys could tell that your friends and family members, yeah, you shouldn't buy a Cybertruck. Well, have you tried it? um, have I had regular Takis? It's that, except blue Takis are slightly less salty and more brittle. I don't know. I gotta try it. I gotta try it, man. Um, Frankie was here. No, brother-in-law, Trevor. I didn't see Frankie in the chat. I don't think he watches my videos. Do I think hand controllers are dead if the Vision Pro does well? Not necessarily. I think controllers have a lot of advantages for gaming, but that's the interesting thing. I don't think Vision Pro has much of a gaming emphasis. That was kind of the crazy thing. We all were kind of doubtful of Apple releasing a mixed reality headset. I was too. I should express I was wrong. For many years, I said that everybody's been talking about this headset for years and years, and it's never happened. It's probably some internal prototype tool that we're never actually going to see the light of day. I was wrong. It did end up coming out, and it's about to come out. But everyone assumed that if Apple got into the mixed reality headset space, there would be this huge VR gaming uh, emphasis. You know, everyone thought that's what you do VR for, and shockingly, that's almost they barely touched on gaming with Vision Pro. They pretty much demoed all the different use cases for it except gaming. Pretty much the only gaming demo they provided for it was that you can pair a PlayStation controller to it and then pretend that you have a big screen TV. But that's not really gaming to me. That's just like, see, Vision Pro can replace your TV. I don't think that was really a gaming demo. Um, Vision Pro will make a lot of our current tech retro, like our TVs, for example. I don't know. I think there's definitely some specific things they could do to make it more compatible with TVs, because the problem is most people who watch TV are not by themselves. There's a way around this. So it's actually going to be top of my list for Vision OS 2.0. There's honestly a bunch of things Apple could do with Vision OS that they haven't talked about doing yet. The possibilities are endless, which is why, in my opinion, it's kind of the most exciting thing going on at Apple right now is this whole spatial computing concept, mainly because everything else is so boring. Slightly better camera, slightly better display. But the way you work around this, because I usually watch TV with my wife or with my family, with my sister or my relatives or my cousins or whatever, it's usually not just me and the TV. If it's just me by myself, I'll probably go to my phone. We go to the TV when we want more than one person to watch, which is why, yeah, I know that was going to come out. We got to buy 4 Vision Pro. Yeah, just everybody drop $13,000. By the way, even if they did that, there is currently no. Oh, the internet wigged out. What the heck? We okay? We're back. Sorry, T-Mobile like disconnected for a second. Yeah, you can't just expect everybody to buy $3,500 headset. That's going to be ridiculously expensive, and also the code doesn't even support 4 people looking at the same movie within spatial environments. I'm sure we'll get there. That seems like a very obvious thing to leave out, but I think Apple knows that most households are not going to have more than one Vision Pro, so there's not a huge need to come up with that code yet. However, the better solution that would be far cheaper, that I can totally see being possible via software, is if me and my wife are watching a movie and oh my God, I love this idea so much. I want to talk more about this because I think it's underrated. Um, we do share play to the headset so that my wife is watching a movie on the TV, and we sync that up with the Vision Pro headset. So the Vision Pro knows what movie is playing, and it knows when to pause the movie. If my wife pauses the movie, it pauses it for me. And because I'm watching the movie with spatial computing and she's not, she could watch the movie with subtitles. I could watch it without subtitles, or I could watch it with a bigger screen where it takes up the entire wall, and that way we can still watch movies, TV shows together. But my view is pasting over the top of the TV. I could even have the same sound coming out. But there's definitely a way to sync up the TV screen with the Vision Pro headset. It's not that the Apple TV is casting, it's just that the Vision Pro knows what title is playing. It knows how to stream that. It'd probably work better with Apple TV titles. It might get complicated if it's like, oh, I don't know, does the person wearing the headset have a subscription to Disney Plus? But at least with Apple TV titles, it could be fairly simple to be like, okay, stream this title on the headset, assuming that the headset is being pointed or is in the same room as the Apple TV. Um, yeah, maybe if one person wants Spanish subtitles and one person wants English subtitles, that kind of thing. You can pick and choose, which I've run into in my life constantly. There's constantly situations where one person says, "Can we turn on subtitles?" and the other person says, "I don't like subtitles to be on." If we all have, or at least one of us has spatial, I mean, I could turn it up louder for me so that it's not as loud for her. There's so many use cases like that where it's like I can watch this version of the movie, or I want to watch the movie in widescreen, she wants to watch it in full screen, those kinds of differences. um, each person must be connected to a power source. Well, 2.5 hour battery life, right, if it's 2D. Would highly recommend making a Vision OS 2 wishlist video ASAP. The engineers are still open to feedback. Aren't they always open to feedback? I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, I should probably work on that, huh? The season finale for All Mankind is on starting today. Oh, well, congratulations. Am I using Face ID in my 15 Pro? Do I still leave it without password? There was a few instances where I was traveling and I was going to be out in public, so I decided to turn Face ID back on. I'm still regretting the decision. Um, and also, but my wife was like, "Wait, anybody could just take your phone?" I was like, "Yeah, but no one's going to do that." She was like, "You should just put the passcode on it." So I want her to feel comfortable. So you can go to the bathroom without pausing. Great point. I could keep watching the movie when I go to the toilet. Finally, that's what we need. Or you can bring the movie with you if you go to the kitchen or whatever, while you're refilling your popcorn or whatever. Um, an eye hole for Bruce. There are times of the year where they aren't really open to feedback because they have things roadmapped already. I thought I talked about the whole share play concept with Vision Pro before, but maybe I need to redo that. Um, or yeah, you could do different audio so that one person in the room is watching it in a certain language and another person's watching it in English. How much should Apple Vision be for it to become mass market? That's a tough question. I guess my answer might change depending on how immersive it is. Because if it really blows my mind and I'm just truly impressed and totally immersed in it, and I feel like I could wear it all the time and use it all the time, and I feel like it's a very useful, like utility focused product, then I I don't think necessarily 1500 is as low as it needs to go. Or um, basically, the way I see it is, iPhone started out around $500. And now we've reached a point where lots of people are comfortable dropping 1,000, 1,200, maybe more, um, $1,500 on their phone because they do so much with it, because it's so useful and it's just their life. They take pictures with it, they're recording videos on it, they check email, it's their wallet, it's their music player, it's their entertainment device, it's their communicator. There's so many uses for it that we all kind of justify spending a ton of money on it because it's used all the time. And arguably, the Vision OS equipped devices, whatever they end up calling it, Vision Pro is the current first gen, but after that, we could get Apple Vision regular or Apple Vision Air, whatever, Apple Vision SE. Um, if it starts getting to the point where this is our last screen, this replaces your TV, replaces your laptop display. Your phone basically will just turn into a camera. I think that's the biggest thing that Vision OS will be lacking on: a keyboard that's easy to type on and a designated camera. Like what I'm doing right now with my iPhone, I could not do with Vision Pro. I can just put this up, point it at me, so I can do online meetings or I can do live streams and I can call people and you can see me. I don't personally think that whole FaceTime facial reconstruction thing is going to take off. I think that looks weird, and um, I don't see Vision Pro or Vision OS replacing the iPhone. But I also don't think that means it can't be a big deal. Vision Pro is a standalone device, right? Yeah, kinda. I mean, here's the caveat. Like, yes, you don't need an iPhone to set it up. You don't need a Mac to set it up. You'll just be able to take it out of the box and set it up. The funny thing is, though, at least during the pre-order process, you need Face ID to order it because they want to take a 3D map of your face so they know which size to include in the headset. And it's also possible that there will be varying sizes and maybe some of them will be more in stock than others. So I have a big head. A lot of hats don't fit me. I wish I could say it's because I'm big brained, but it's mostly just thick skull. But because of my big head, maybe I have a better chance at getting mine at launch day because not as many people are going to register their face and Apple go, oh man, give him the extra large light seal. He needs the biggest one we got. um, so if you don't have Face ID on your phone, it's going to be a lot harder to get your hands on one. So is it a standalone device? I mean, yeah, it will work and will function even if you don't have an iPhone. But can you buy one without an iPhone? Yeah, maybe not. But my dad, hey dad, if you want to buy one, your phone has Face ID. Congratulations, both you and mom. My dad has my 11 Pro Max. I think that's who's typing in the chat. He has my old 11 Pro Max, and my mom has my old 13 Pro Max. Both of those have Face ID, so you should have no problem ordering one because I'm sure you guys are going to be pre-ordering super early. Um, the skits are the best. Oh, thank you. They're not, but I appreciate it. Error. Your head is too big. Yeah, it's going to prevent me from ordering. And I'm going to be like, honey, get in here. I need your face. It all relies on how comfortable it is. If it is not comfortable, it's not going to replace anything. It doesn't look comfortable. I don't know. I think comfortable can be subjective. We all have very different sized heads and different kinds of hair. I know a lot of people that said AirPods Max was uncomfortable, and for me, it was the most comfortable pair of headphones I've ever tried. I loved AirPods Max comfort wise. That stupid lightning port ruined everything. But everything else, I love those headphones. They were super comfortable. I could wear them for hours and hours and hours, and I never got sore. I love the sound quality. Um, but a lot of people said, "Oh, they're too heavy. They're too bulky. They're terribly uncomfortable." And I was like, "Okay, that's like your opinion, man." Um, yeah, I guess some people may have joined later in the stream and didn't know that. But yes, I've got the picture here. Let's read it together, shall we? Let's learn. Um, this was the email they sent out to people who were asking for updates on Vision Pro. It says, have an iPhone or iPad with Face ID nearby. When you order Apple Vision Pro, you'll need to scan your face with an iPhone or iPad with Face ID. This helps us determine the right size light seal and headbands, which work together to give you a precise fit. Make sure your Apple Store app is up to date. There you go. So you do need a Face ID device. Um, Apple's Vision OS should be free to become mainstream. Joking aside, really tempted to buy a Vision Pro headset over upgrading my M1 Pro MacBook this year, as I'm good on my iPhone for a while. Yeah, I would say there's a couple of Apple products I'm potentially going to buy and keep this year. Highest on the list in terms of likelihood is AirPods Pro 2. It's pretty much already been mentally purchased in my brain. I know I'm eventually going to get a pair of AirPods Pro with USB-C. I love AirPods Pro. They're so simple and they just work and they're reliable and they're cheap. And you can find even the USB-C ones for like $190 on Amazon half the time it's on sale. So it's cheap and I'm just waiting for these to die because they still work. I'm still using them and they function. I just don't want to buy a whole new pair of AirPods when I still have perfectly good working ones. But I've never had a pair of AirPods last me indefinitely. All of them have died on me after a couple of years, and I've already owned this one for 2 or 3 years now. Um, I bought them in 2019 when they came out, but then every component went bad and they replaced every component individually. So now I have a whole new pair of AirPods, even though I didn't spend any extra money. But I'm sure eventually these will die and they're not under warranty or anything. And whenever these die, that's when I'll make the switch to AirPods Pro 2.5, the ones with USB-C, because I'm done with Lightning. I don't want to buy anything with Lightning anymore. Um, Sorry for the bit rate. I see that it's tanking. T-Mobile needs to get their act together. Can I close something? Will that help? Sometimes it does this, and I don't know why. Um, rip people with iPhone SE who want Vision Pro. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Who has an iPhone SE that's going to buy Apple Vision Pro? Come on. Those are not the kind of people to buy Apple Vision Pro. You can get an iPhone 10R for like $200 and that has Face ID, so I don't think it's people are like, "What about this?" That's not a problem. Come on. They're going to sell every headset they make. There's only going to be a couple no, not a couple. There's only going to be like 100,000 of them available at launch. Um, yeah, I had the SE2 a year ago. Thank God I dodged that bullet. If I was still on the SE when this thing came out, we'd be in trouble. Not really. My wife was on the iPhone 10. I just would have asked to borrow her phone. I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't have worked. I don't know. Before the SE2, I switched to the iPhone 11. It worked out. We're gonna be okay. We'll be fine. How many units do you think Vision Pro will sell in the first year? I don't think it's a question of how many they sell. It's more a question of how many can they make, because the production capacity for these things are going to be very low. I believe the previous estimates where they were targeting about 500,000 for the year. Maybe it'll grow past that. I don't know, but not a lot. And I think Apple's aware of that. It's not like you've come up to some magical conclusion. Oh my God. You know what, Apple? I don't think these are going to sell very much because they're $3,500. Oh, we didn't think about that. They know. That's why they called it Vision Pro, is because they knew it would be expensive and they knew it would be limited in production. So they couldn't sell that many of them anyway. Um it's your opinion, man. Reference was not complete. Sorry. If Apple drops USB-C AirPods Max, would I go with them instead of the Pros? It depends on the price. I'm not an audiophile is the thing. And when I tried AirPods Pro 2, they sounded great. They sounded wonderful. So I would probably be happy with that. Um, sorry, the bit rate's jumping all over the place. Come on, T-Mobile, get your act together. Imagine if T-Mobile goes down at 4:50 a.m. pre-order day. I apologize in advance if that happens. I don't own any Apple stock. I own a lot of mutual funds though. Let's see. I don't think we'll see an Apple Vision under $2,000 until 2030. More expensive than an iPad Pro, and that's $1,100, and it's more immersive than a Mac, so it'll probably float around 2,000 to 4,000. Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you with the tech as it exists today, and even in future iterations. I don't see it dropping substantially in price. I try to remind people that a lot of Apple products, people assume, well, the first generation is expensive. It'll get cheaper over time. Not really. I mean, AirPods launched at $160, and now the most popular ones are $250. The first iPhone that launched was $500. Now the more popular iPhones are $800 to $1,000. The first iPad that launched was $500, and the best-selling iPads are still $400, $600. So the average selling price usually doesn't go down all that much. Maybe it will more just because Vision Pro is so insanely high up there, and they're starting off with the Pro model instead of the other things where they started off with just iPad or just iPhone. But I don't think it will necessarily get into the $1,500, $1,000 range. I think it might kind of permanently be in the yeah over $2,000 price range. Not counting used, of course. Vision Pro in 6 years will probably you could buy one used for a thousand or less. Did I hear the OLED 11-inch iPad Pro could start at 1,500? Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll do a video on that. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Look forward to Vision Air. It would have been crazy if they said you need an iPhone or iPad with LiDAR to order Vision Pro, like someone needs to scan your entire head 360 degrees to create a 3D model. They probably know they would exclude way too many people with that just because there's a ton of people that don't buy the Pro iPhone. The Pro iPhones are the only ones with LiDAR. However, on the other hand, I do think most people buying Apple Vision Pro are probably the kind of person to have the Pro iPhone. But yeah, Randy would be in trouble. He doesn't have a LiDAR device. Do I think Vision Pro could get burn in on the inside or outside screens? Burn-in typically happens when you're showing the same thing continuously in the same exact portion of the display, which I don't think will really ever happen with Vision Pro because you're wearing it and your head will be almost constantly moving. Um, and then whatever you're looking at is probably going to have some motion and moving. If you're watching a movie or you're in one of those environments, there's going to be things moving around. So no, I don't really think it's that big a risk of um, burn in personally. Uh, Stream is fine, don't worry. Yeah, the OBS is making me freak out. I'll go 6+ hours in my AirPods Max like I'm doing right now. I don't usually run into situations where I wear headphones that long. I really loved AirPods Max, and I would like to I would like to own a pair with USB-C, but AirPods Pro are just also not that bad, and they're a heck of a lot cheaper. And I'm trying to be more budget focused anyway. Vision Pro would definitely be throwing all that out the window. Try to use more budget friendly phones, guys. $3,500. I've never had burn in on any OLED devices. Maybe I'm lucky or the panels are improved. I'm with you, Mike. I haven't either. My wife is still using my iPhone 10 that I have been using since launch day, November 3rd, 2017. It's been used every single day since then, and I use that phone on occasion. I do not see any burn in anywhere. So I don't know. The burn in issues I've heard a lot more with Samsung phones, not so much on iPhones. Sell your MacBook, edit on Vision Pro. I don't think Vision OS has Final Cut, and if it does, it's the iPad version, which is the worst version because it is missing half the features of the Mac version, and also it's $5 a month, which I hate. Ugh. So yeah, I don't think there's a situation where I'm getting rid of my MacBook anytime soon. Also, I have a lot of B-roll stored on my laptop, which is partially why I spec'd it up for 8 TB. I'm using quite a bit. I have a lot of B-roll stored on here that I pull from whenever I'm editing videos, and I do not think Vision Pro is going to go up to 8 TB. Also, the M2 chip is not going to be as fast as the M1 Max, so that would be much bad, very bad decision. DaVinci Resolve is on iPad. I know, I've tried it and it sucked. It's not as good as the Mac version. It's not worth it. I've never experienced burn-in, but my old S7 Edge screen had a green tint that wouldn't go away and would get worse when you reduce the brightness. I've seen Apple Watches get green tint, like the Ceramic Series 5 I reviewed last year. It was, old, and it was noticeably more green than my Series 7. I thought micro OLED can't get burn-in. I don't know, honestly. That might be true, but I'm not sure. I had an S21 Ultra before getting the 15 Pro, and it had a bad case of burn-in after 2 years. Yeah, I think Samsung usually pushes the limits a bit more. They tend to have more brightness, higher refresh rate, and at the cost of usually the device not aging as gracefully. Um, yeah, Brandon Lee also says my Samsung S8 had very faint burn-in after 2 years, but wasn't an issue at all on gray YouTube area. My S10 Plus and S21 Plus and S23 Ultra had zero burn in. Well, that's good. Not everybody, but um, I have a question regarding the pre-order Vision Pro. I don't wear glasses. Do I need to fill in my optical information during the pre-order? No, I'm pretty sure that's optional. There will probably be a little checkbox during the pre-order process that says, do you wear prescription lenses? And you'll just click no. It should be fairly easy to just skip that. Yeah, there's no M3 on Vision Pro, I believe, because the M2 chip in there is not even running at max capacity for essentially all the use cases and demos they have for the first generation Vision Pro. It's kind of just like a big iPad that you can float anywhere. I don't think anything on it really necessarily needs more than the M2 because, again, it's not going to be locally editing a ton of videos. It's mostly meant for, I think, looking at things, and they still probably are going to expect you to use a Mac for editing, and the Vision Pro should be a great accessory to the Mac, but I don't think the M3 chip would have helped much because the bigger issue that Apple is seeing with Vision Pro is that it uses too much energy. So the battery life is too short. I don't think the problem with Vision Pro is that the chip is too slow. Uh, that's definitely not the problem with iPads either, but uh, I think that they needed something more powerful than the A17 chip, but I don't think they needed anything more powerful than the M2. So everything I've heard and read it is indicating that The M2 chip in the Vision Pro is not even fully unlocked. It's probably a binned chip, and it's probably not running at its full capable wattage. Um, so the best way I could describe it is if the A17 Pro chip maxed out here, and Apple Vision, the M2 chip fully maxed out ends up here, the needs of Vision OS max out about here. So they needed something better than the A chip, but they didn't need maxed out M chip. Do I think spatial video allows one to record memories more interactively, or do you think it's more isolating? I don't think technology at all is isolating. I think people isolate themselves with technology. I think that's a huge misconception that a lot of people critiqued Apple Vision Pro for no reason, in my opinion. I mean, there's issues with Vision Pro. There's complaints I have, don't get me wrong, but isolating tech is a myth, in my opinion. If you want to isolate yourself with tech, you can, but don't blame the technology for being more isolating. Like, it's about as isolating as headphones. Only one person can wear AirPods Max at a time. Does that make it isolating? No, it's just it's you if you choose that, be at a social gathering or be at a family event where people are trying to talk to you, and then you put headphones on, you are using the tech to isolate yourself, but that doesn't make the tech itself isolating. Same thing with Apple Vision Pro. There will be a polite way to use it and a not polite way to use it, just like any tech product. Phones can be incredibly isolating. Oh my God. You seen like how many teenagers will just like not even look at you because they're on their phone and they don't want to interact with people? They go on there. It can be as or a phone, you can put it away or you can use it to take pictures and videos and try to capture the moment or look things up that are ongoing with the discussion. Tech is as isolating as you want it to be. I don't think it's inherently isolating. I feel like people record on their phones and used to use camcorders, so wouldn't a hands-free availability be better? Yeah, maybe you could make that argument that it's a bit more passive. Um, you can record. I don't think videos from the headset is a very good position. At least the people I know, my personal life, they're usually not recording videos. They're usually taking selfies, which is another reason why I don't think Vision OS devices will ever replace the phone. The phone is incredibly good at taking selfies or recording TikToks or doing video calls, and I don't think the headset will ever be better at that. Doesn't matter how good the battery life gets, doesn't matter how good the chip inside, doesn't matter if they put an M3 Ultra on your face, it's never going to be as good as having a nice little rectangle that you can just hold out and take a photo with. Um, I just I don't see that. I cannot fathom how that spatial computer needs anything less than the latest Mac chip. Why not a Max chip? Well, the R1 chip, keep in mind, it's not the only chip in there. The R1 chip is what's stitching together all the camera feeds. Maybe y'all need a refresher. Did y'all do your homework? Go back, watch the event. The R1 chip is doing all the hard work of stitching together all of those cameras and making sure they're in sync and that there's low latency so that the pass through just works and is very seamless and integrated. The chip, the M2 chip, is handling all of the tiles and windows. So if you open Twitter or YouTube on Vision Pro, the M2 is powering all that stuff. The R1 is doing all of the camera stitching and the hand tracking. Um, headset. They were also engineering the headset with the intentions of a 2022 launch for a bit. A15, A16, M2 was what they had to work with from the chip team. They needed more graphics than an A series chip, but the CPU performance is likely around an A series. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's going to prevent Vision Pro from being a better product purely because of the chip. I don't think that's the problem. When most people try out Vision Pro and start using it for extended use, I can't guarantee anything, obviously, but I guarantee I feel fairly confident. I feel like it's pretty likely that the biggest complaint is going to be the battery life. I don't think the complaint is going to be the chip is too slow. I mean, most VR headsets or HoloLens headsets, they're all using basic Qualcomm Snapdragon chips that you would find in mid-range Android phones. And the M2 is a chip that you find in like a Mac Mini and a MacBook Air. There's a far more powerful, far more capable chip. It's probably the most powerful silicon ever in a headset, at least a consumer accessible headset. Um, why they should have another main event. How do I think the resale value of the Vision Pro will be? It's hard to say, because a lot of the accessories or the light seal and headbands should be kind of custom. That might eat into how good resale value is. Um, on one hand, I think of like, oh yeah, when the iPhone first come out or when a new Mac comes out, it's very expensive at first, and then after a year, it gets really, really cheap. But then on the other hand, I think about something like the Pro Display XDR. I really like the Pro Display XDR. I just think it's way too expensive and it needs to be updated. It's very dated now. It's almost 5 years old. Oh my God. Can't believe that. The Pro Display XDR is gorgeous and everybody who bought one loves it. And what I've noticed is that the resale value of the Pro Display, even today, it did not go down very much. Like, yeah, you can find them used, but not for much cheaper than new. Like, obviously, if you wanted it with the stand, which most people did, it was $6,000. If you try to find a used Pro Display XDR today, you'd be lucky to get anything under 5,000. Like, maybe let me look right now. Actually, I'm kind of curious. I've looked before because I remember I checked out the Pro Display XDR in person and I was like, this is a great monitor. I love how thin the bezels are. I love how clean it looks. I would love to buy one of these. It's just way too much. I can't justify 6,000. Yeah, look at this. Oh my God. Look at this together. I went on eBay just now looking up Pro Displays, 4,600, 4,000, and that's without the stand. So you still have to buy a stand or you need the mount for it. Um, Standard glass, small defect in a box. People are bidding on it. The bidding starts at 2,500, 4,300, 4,200, and this product's gonna be 5 years old this year. And look at this. People are still selling it for, look at that open box, 6,000. That's basically brand new. Who knows if they're actually selling at that price, but still, come on. Like, some Apple products, depending on how high end they are or how rare they are, some I don't know. The Vision Pro kind of was pitched as somewhat of an external monitor for your Mac, except this one is a lot more portable than the Pro Display. It has a battery. It's not the best battery life, but it does have a battery life, and arguably can be infinitely bigger than the Pro Display, and it's 3,500 instead of 6,000. So, and the Pro Display is not 120 hertz. Good point. It's not even ProMotion, and yet it's 2024, and there's still people asking for 4,500 to $5,000 for that thing. So I don't know. That's probably more of the exception than the rule. I definitely would not tell you guys to buy a Vision Pro specifically so that you can resell it. Definitely not for a profit. That's just mean. Um, don't scalp people. If you decide it's not for you and you kept it longer than the return window lasts, or Apple does some weird thing where they decide you can't return it, I would okay. I've got no problem with you selling your Vision Pro headset, but I would just say just sell it for what you paid. Okay, we don't all need to make a profit off of other people who are trying to get access to cool new tech. I mean, I can't stop you from doing what you're going to do, but my personal advice: don't sell it for profit. Vision Pro doesn't necessarily have ProMotion, but it's also not 60 hertz. It's in the middle. Every support document or tech spec we can find basically is suggesting that depending on the lighting environment of the room, it fluctuates between 90 hertz and 100 hertz, which still should look pretty smooth. It's not quite 120, but it's 20 hertz less than ProMotion, which I bet a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I don't think I could tell the difference between 120 and 100 hertz. So definitely a higher refresh rate than a Pro Display. Can't speak for what's being released, but there were at least 200 different light seal sizes designed during development. Just from a manufacturing standpoint, I do not believe there will be 200 sizes. I also don't think Face ID on the iPhone is going to be that accurate. I also, knowing that the Meta Quest has been mass produced and sold at high volume, I don't think you need 200 different sizes. Maybe four. That should probably cover the majority of the public. I'd be surprised if there's more than four or five. Do I think Series X will get a new shape? I think it might get a new edge design. But I don't think they're going to fluctuate from the rectangular kind of portrait mode display of the Apple Watch. I don't get how the Pro Display XDR isn't cheaper now. I know, yeah, it's bizarre. The resale market has everything to do with supply and demand. How many of them are there, and how many people want one? So there's an argument to be made that because the production capacity for Vision Pro is so low, it's only available in the U.S. And I'm sure there's probably going to be some people that take delivery of Vision Pro and try to sell it overseas or sell it to other people in other countries. So it's not inconceivable in my head that Vision Pro might hold its resale value very well, possibly sell for more than what people paid, depending on how high the demand is. But I don't think you should buy it with that expectation. If it ends up having a great resale value, cool, that's awesome. But another reason I think the Pro Display XDR, we should also play devil's advocate here. The other reason the Pro Display XDR probably hasn't gone down in price much is because it never really got a successor. Studio Display, kinda, but not really, kind of in a whole separate category because it doesn't have the XDR stuff and it's just a basic 5K panel that's been in the iMac for a decade now. Um, but honestly, even in the used market, Studio Displays didn't go down that much. I trust me, I looked because I really like the idea of having a bigger screen monitor to edit and work on. And I was like, I like the Studio Display. I just don't think it's worth $1,700 or $2,000. Um, yeah, that's probably what he meant. Has the Tailosive Tech podcast recording been planned yet? Enjoy the content. Thank you, Jeff. I love hearing that. Um, yeah, we are still working on the new intros and outros and the new music and everything. So I will keep you guys posted when we come back or once we have a date set. But no, at current time, the guys and I have not decided on here's the date we're coming back on. Um, we haven't recorded anything since the last podcast. How could the rumors be so wrong regarding Vision Pro? I remember seeing rumors of 2020 saying Apple Glass was going to be announced during the year of the pandemic. Boy, the rumors were so wrong. Well, there were a lot of wrong rumors, yes, but I think we should also attest there were a lot of accurate rumors. They got the timeline wrong, and Apple was probably working on this headset for many, many years. I think we can all agree there. This Vision Pro was not whipped together within 12 months. This is something they've been toying around with for possibly close to a decade at this point. And there was a lot of quotes from Gurman and Kuo for several years saying Apple's working on a mixed reality headset and it's going to be expensive. I remember reports directly quoting it was going to be north of $3,000. And I think I even had a hard time believing that. I was like, what? There's no way. Um, there's like, I highly doubt that Apple would release a $3,000 headset. And that rumor ended up being right. And there was a lot of rumors leading up to the event saying that they would unveil it at WWDC. Then we got the invites and everybody saying the invites were in reference to the headset. Turned out to be right. But yeah, we got the timeline wrong because technology is very, very complicated. It's very, very hard. And maybe I'm more immune to the timeline leaks being wrong because I spend a lot of time in the EV space now, and I'm kind of used to delays. Delays are kind of expected at this point. Um, Pretty much everybody has delays. GM has delays, Toyota has delays, Tesla has delays, startups have delays. So you kind of just, after seeing so many things get delayed, you understand that, hey, manufacturing complex products, whether it be an electric solar powered vehicle or whether it be a headset that has a lenticular curved display on the front with state of the art eye tracking and the first ever mass produced micro OLED panels that are the size of the post stamp with a 4K resolution with 12 different cameras and LiDAR sensors all around to do spatial tracking. Yeah, it's a fairly complicated device. Nothing really like that has ever existed before. So it might not go exactly according to schedule. It might not be available right away. What new apps am I excited to see on Vision Pro? Hey, Ben Geskin. Thanks for tuning in. Long time no see. What new apps? I don't know if I could say apps are necessarily what excites me. I'm more interested in use cases. Like the one I'm most interested in is using it as an external monitor for my Mac because I think if I do end up keeping it, that's probably what I'm going to use it for the most. I also would love a way to, yeah, I got to include this in my Vision OS wish list. I want a way to sync up the TV. It can be just an Apple TV. That's fine. Apple can keep this exclusive. It only works with Apple TV. That, yeah, I get it. If it syncs up with the Apple TV so that when I'm watching movies or shows with my wife, she can watch it on the regular TV and I can watch it in, the same time. So we're reacting at the same things and I can still see her thanks to the pass through, but I have this giant screen that's way bigger than my actual TV and I can make it feel like a movie theater and I can have the subtitles beneath the screen or on the screen. I can move the subtitles around, or I can have windows open so I can, if the movie or the show gets boring, I can be scrolling on Twitter and still seeing things. And just use cases, I think, stand out to me more than apps. Also, the possibility of I just had a brain fart. I was going to talk about how I think that Apple Vision Pro could replace a lot of iPad functionality, because if there was a way to connect the Apple Pencil to the Vision Pro, then there would be a way to, just like how, when your Apple Pencil is drawing, it's communicating data to the device wirelessly, right? Like it's telling the screen, I'm touching you now, and it's moving around and drawing. You could do that with the headset so that you could basically turn any canvas into, any surface into a canvas. You could draw on everything. You could just start drawing on the walls. If you want to draw a little artwork right here, you can. You're not actually drawing on the wall. The Vision Pro could track in space. There's the pointer of the pencil. That's where he's pushing it. Here's the angle of the pencil. The pencil has that data. It's being registered with that little point at the end. And someone made a concept video on Twitter. I'm blanking on their name, but I want to give them a shout out because I described this very thing for months, and someone finally but okay, Sergey Gawkin. She can see your 3D virtual eyes. Yeah, the side eye, the whole she can see where my eyes are going. Let me open this up here. So this was from Sergey or Sergey. Sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing it. Look at this video though. This is so cool. Oh, sorry. So he just has a mask with the pencil and he's drawing on the mask. And I'm saying this is the exact type of thing that I was describing. Like this would be so cool to do with pretty much any object. It can track it onto the surface of whatever you're drawing on. And I was like, now when you're taking notes in class, you don't need to be confined to a little 11-inch screen or a 13-inch screen like an iPad. Your whole desk can be just notes. You can write everywhere, and then you can lift those notes up and save them to your Files app, bring them up later, blow them up on the big screen, or keep them small if you want them small. There's just so much potential for drawing and artists, I feel like, that hasn't been fully explored. I haven't seen Apple talk about it, but that's why I'm trying to draw attention to it. Like, we have a USB-C Apple Pencil. Shouldn't there be a way to dock that with the magic battery, and then the pencil and the headset can communicate? I don't know. There's definitely a way to do that. Split screen gaming with the opponent wearing Vision Pro so they can't screen cheat but not create with more than 2 people. Yeah, I guess that. There's even a ton of work that goes into working on firmware and stability when it comes into doing a chip refresh for a Mac. It's not as simple as TSMC starting production and then Apple starts to put it in. Tech is very complex, even though many things seem simple. Well, we're used to things being so simple because we're Apple people and we just see the outcome of all this hard work. So we're used to, why did it take so long? But yeah, you're right. All of these things, even just upgrading a chip, takes a lot of hard work and a lot of supply chain management. So, uh, yeah, you're right. We do not know how nice we have it. We take these things for granted. We get to the point now where chip upgrades, unfortunately, like it or not, they're boring. Even though a ton of work and time and energy and money went into developing the M3 chip, when you go from M2 to M3, it's like, yeah, okay, it's a little faster, great. Um, I'm hoping SharePlay integration is available between multiple Vision Pro users. That is less of a priority on my list because I do not believe most households are going to have more than one Vision Pro. um, I think what's more important is making Vision Pro compatible with existing Apple devices, because lots of people have Apple TVs. So if I can watch a movie with Vision Pro while other people in the room watch it on the regular TV, not only would that be a great experience for me that allows more customization with the subtitles and the volume and the lighting and the environment, or I can take the screen with me when I go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, keep watching the movie without pausing. But the other more important thing it does that I should talk more about is it creates a sense of envy, which is perfect for marketing. Do you think it's going to be a successful marketing campaign if people watch a commercial and they see Apple talk about how, wow, the headset is kind of like Snoopy putting on goggles, or it's kind of like Carl Fredricksen putting on his glasses or his aviators and Up, like That little commercial where it shows people putting on things. Is that going to make people want to spend $3,500? Not really. You know what would make a lot of people feel jealous? Everyone in the room competing who gets to wear the headset. It's not just let's go watch a movie on TV anymore. It's I want to wear the headset. Okay, maybe we'll watch the first episode with you on the headset, but then the next episode of the show we watch, you can wear the headset. If people are debating who gets to wear it next, then the debate is no longer is spatial computing the future. The debate is when will you get your spatial computing device? Everyone wants their own, but obviously it's very expensive, so not everybody can afford one. So then we've got optic ID. We could have profiles in Vision OS pretty easily. It's going to be able to tell the difference between all of our irises. Um, Any guesses to the Vision Pro storage options? Maybe 512 for 3,800, 1 TB for 4,000. Because the production capacity is so low, typically when capacity is low, they don't have too many options. So I predict there will be two. I could be way off on this, and I'm fine with that. I've been wrong all the time. My prediction is the starting option, 3,500, 256 gigs. That's confirmed. We know that. And then there will just be one other option that's $4,000 for 1 TB. That's it. I don't think there will be a 512. I could be way off, but that's my guess. Feel like 512 would be 37 and 1 TB around 41. Who knows? It could be anyone's guess. All I know is Apple usually impresses us with how expensive they go. We all think it's going to be priced a certain way, and then it ends up being way more. So it's probably best to round up, if anything. Um, Apple marketing team, write that down. Write that down. These are free ideas, Apple. I'll come down Cupertino anytime, and I'll be happy to come up with ideas that will make you lots and lots of money. Although the truth is, I haven't thought about spatial computing likely as much as they have. So everything I have talked about or everything I have pitched, I'm guessing they've already thought of and are already planning to a certain extent. A small part of me wants it to be one storage size so I don't have to worry about it or pay more. If you don't want to worry about it, just accept that you're going to buy the 256 gig model. There you go. Done. Right? No, I could see it now if the spatial computing experience is that cool, everybody fighting over who gets to wear the headset. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great marketing. Can I try it now? Oh, you already watched one. No, it's my turn. Give me the headset. Okay, perfect. Now we've convinced everybody to spend $3,000. A small part of me wants it to be one storage size so I don't have to worry about it or pay more. Sorry, I just read that. Yeah. To me, this technology needs to be shrunk to the size of glasses and way better graphics to be where most people have them. Yeah, I understand why people think that. It's not a crazy assumption. My assumption is crazier, but I have a gut feeling that it will always be cheaper. It will always be more manufacturable and cost effective to have cameras on the outside looking, stitching together a perspective for two displays on the inside. I don't think transparent displays will ever be as immersive. And I think the even bigger problem with going to glasses instead of a headset that actually covers your vision is the glasses. For one, they don't have a light seal. They will not cover everything. So if you want to have a fully immersed virtual world, that's not going to work because you can see out the sides. Secondly, you still need tons of cameras on the outside for tracking everything in space, making sure that they see your hands tapping things and eye tracking, getting that right on these tiny lightweight. Also, the biggest, but it's just not. Come on, T-Mobile, you got this. You can recover. The bit rate's going like this. Boy, um, the complaint will be about battery life, and battery life is going to be just way harder with a pair of glasses because glasses have to be lighter. They have to sit on your nose and ears, and that's why it helps to have a big strap along the back. And there's a lot more hardware like silicon, like the M1 chip and the R1 chip that you can fit in there and make room for the eye tracking, which seems to be a pretty crucial part of this Vision OS experience, knowing exactly with extreme precision where your eyes are looking. That's how you're going to be able to navigate the UI, and miniaturizing that into a pair of glasses. The battery life would be like 10 minutes, right? Much smaller though. Problem with VR is just too heavy. Good points by UI glasses might not work. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I I still get this feeling like I've experienced it before. Like when the Apple Watch came out, it started at $350, and everyone said that's way too expensive. That's not going to work. And a lot of people kept saying the Apple Watch will only work if they get it under $200. I remember people saying that a lot when it first came out. Everyone's like, maybe a future model will be 200. Now, I mean, we just last year or 2 years ago got the SE for 250, but I still think most people buying Apple Watches are spending more than that. Most people are spending 300, 400. Apple kind of finds ways of normalizing things. I remember when the AirPods first came out, they were $160. Everyone said that's way too expensive. They're basic earphones. They're not that great. The only perk about them is they're wireless. And the only way AirPods will go mainstream is if they're like $80, $60. I remember a lot of people saying I would pay $50 for AirPods, but not 160. That's outrageous. And there's a lot of times where people have a certain expectation, and then over time, Apple like normalizes it and finds a way to make it mainstream, even though it's like, yeah, I never thought we'd be spending $3,500 on these things, but once I realized it's my external monitor for my laptop, it's my TV that I can take with me, it's my phone that I don't have to hold. It's a camera that I don't have to put in my hands. Um, Honestly, I could see Vision Pro replacing a lot of WatchOS functionality. They could get that gesture down, just the whole check your wrist thing. It could just detect whenever you're pointing at your wrist like that and just slap WatchOS right there. Put your clock, put your widgets on there. It's got sensors up by your head. It can measure your heart rate. It could probably get a more accurate blood oxygen level than the Apple Watch could. Just don't use the Massimo tech. Think you can hook up an Anker 25,000 milliamp hour battery to Vision Pro? The problem is Vision Pro, in order to work, has this proprietary plug into this battery pack. So you'd have to carry around the Apple Vision Pro battery pack and the Anker battery pack. But yeah, theoretically, that should work. I paid $550 for the cellular version of Apple Watch 7. $550 for a watch. I must be nuts. Yeah, that everyone said that was a crazy idea that they would charge that much, and now it's kind of normal. Um, USB-C to the external battery. Yeah, it would be a little clunky though. You'd have two big battery packs in your pocket. A bunch of cheapskates show up every launch expecting companies to be charities by selling products for arbitrary low prices. I don't even think it's necessarily cheapskates. I was also very shocked and amazed that Apple was willing to showcase Vision Pro and say, and it starts at $34.99. That felt like a it was like the arrow straight to the heart. I just picture that video of the guy flying through the bus windshield and he goes to the very back. And all the YouTubers are just like unbothered. They're just like, "Ugh." Did you see the video of Marquez's reaction to the price? Even Marquez was like, "Oh," that hurt. And I don't think Marquez is a cheapskate, but yeah, there's definitely a natural reaction to like, why do you think? Because we all want to, humans are great at comparing things. We see the headset, and we're like, okay, this is like a different version of the Meta Quest or a different version of the Google Glass. That was about $500 or $1,000. So Apple's version might be 2,000, and then it's 3,500. It's always like, oh my God, it's shocking. But usually Apple finds a good way to normalize it because they make the use case and the experience so good and so rich that we go, that's outrageous. Done. We go, oh my God, that's ridiculously high. When can I get mine? That's kind of the natural reaction to a lot of Apple product releases, particularly the first generation. And this is kind of the epitome of first generation. And because it's not as marketable and it's harder to demonstrate the features of than any other Apple product. I don't think it will catch on overnight. I don't think this will go mainstream within a couple of years. I think it could be a long-term game, but I do think there's a chance this kind of fundamentally changes the way we use all of our tech. And it's depressing in some ways to imagine a world where all of us are wearing headsets and none of us are actually looking at the world with our real eyes. We're all just looking at recreations of the world through the cameras on the headset on these little displays. But then I remind myself that's kind of what we're doing already. A lot of people didn't buy the mini iPhone, as cool as it was, because they needed better battery life. People want their phones to last. They need that 8 hours of screen on time. Some of us are doing 9, 10, 12 hours of screen on time. And then assuming you sleep 6 to 8 hours a night, that means like most of your day was looking at a screen, engaging in virtual content on social media, watching videos, or um, taking pictures when you're on trip. There's all kinds of videos, compilations of people holding up their phones, and they're not really watching the fireworks or the concert going on. They're watching their recording going on because they want to make sure that they document that I was there and I recorded this. So in some ways it's depressing to imagine everybody wearing headsets and looking through them instead of using your real eyes. But then I remind myself, smartphones already doing that, you know? I like the Tesla approach of adjusting price in real time based on supply and demand. It also means that certain people paid $10,000 more in 2022, but all good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting with cars. I don't know if that would work as well with consumer electronics. I think Samsung kind of does that. They tend to do more actual discounts on the new inventory, whereas Apple's just like, here's what it costs. But I don't know. Apple's got the best marketing team in the world. They probably know what they're doing. I want to use my phone less like the days I had my iPod Touch and its small battery. Okay. I'm going to help you with that, Yi Hirasawa, by ending the stream. Everybody, get off their phone right now. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Um, and I appreciate you guys watching. And I'll try to come up with some funny, entertaining videos for you next week. But have a great weekend. Take care, all. Bye bye.